Here we are with Cathy. Thanks for joining our chaotic morning.
Happy to be here. Wouldn't be any different than the rest of my life.
I know, isn't it the truth?
Yes.
Thank God, as autism moms, we get that, right?
We get it. Don't
Chaos
sweat
is
the little
just
stuff.
chaos is just part of the plan. Cathy, you're currently the president of Education Spectrum Inc. Tell us what that is.
Well, when our children were just diagnosed and we were trying to navigate.
I mean, you say children.
Well, they were born my husband's son, so my stepson, CJ, was born in 1988 and diagnosed in 1992.
Okay.
And then our son together, Danny, was born in 1993 and diagnosed in 1994.
I was totally unaware that your husband, Jim Gott, and tell us who Jim is, because he is a well-known figure.
Well, I'm very proud of my husband. He's much more humble, but I get to brag about him.
Okay, go ahead and brag.
So I went, and also while this was going on, we met and married in 1990, and he was pitching for the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Okay.
And he had pitched for many years before that, so I caught him like the last 5 seasons of his major league career.
Okay.
And we were going, that was pretty crazy, going through the diagnostics and finding services.
So CJ was how old at that time?
CJ was almost 3 when we got married.
Okay, and Danny is your son together.
Right, and he wasn't born until 93. We married in 90.
And Danny was diagnosed at what age?
Pretty early, because by that time I had already been in many interventions and IEPs and learning that whole process in regional center, and I was pretty hyper vigilant about looking for signs.
Right. Okay. So now we've jumped back because I was asking you about Education Spectrum Inc. But let's just stay on this track for a minute and follow your family's journey and then your journey. So tell us then, I mean, what was life like? That must have been pretty chaotic. Your husband is Major League Baseball. He's in the big leagues. Mm-hmm. And you've got 2 kids on the spectrum. What was that like?
Well, there were 6 kids altogether. And I like to remind people that it's, you do spin a lot around the special needs, but there's, everybody has their needs in there. So it was like chaos on steroids. And but lots of love and the incredible team we had around us. That was, and to kind of tie it together, that was the birth of Education Spectrum, were these incredible women that I met, teachers and educational therapists that were helping us when we saw this gap, where an experience that I went through where there was no one there to guide me. We had an advocate and we had a service coordinator, all these little pieces, but there was really no one overseeing
the coach,
whole,
besides you.
The coach, and actually helping you through the day-to-day challenges of sleep and potty training and behaviors and just everything that goes along with it. So I know, jumping forward to today, which I'm going to explain to you, because here we are more than 20 years later, and these kids have aged out into adult services.
Danny is how old now?
Danny is 20, he'll be 24. CJ is 28.
Okay. And how are they doing?
They're doing great. They're very different, and their challenges are different. Some the same, some very different. CJ now lives in Pennsylvania with his mom. So Danny is here in California running Danny's farm.
And okay, just for a minute, tell us about Danny's farm, because that deserves a little bit of attention.
I can't not smile when I talk about Danny's farm. It's a labor of love. I heard you earlier in the segment talking about this hotel resort, and it's the same kind of thing. You've got to harness what your kid loves, and Danny has always had this tremendous affinity for animals and farm animals and petting zoos, and of course he'd sit on his computer all by himself and stay there if he had what he really wanted.
Right.
But he does love this, and he really loves it, and we employ adults with disabilities, and we partnered with Cal Poly Pomona, And we are on the campus there, which is amazing with all these student volunteers. They've even created a Danny's Farm class on the curriculum
Incredible.
in the ag department where students are trained to socialize the animals and volunteer at the farm. So it's just growing, and I mean it's amazing.
And I had the pleasure of actually going to meet you several years back and see it in action and see Danny and some of the other teens, young adults, young people working with these animals, bringing them into a petting situation at a elementary school, and it was just so lovely. It was such a lovely experience.
It's every day is just a gift when you're doing this kind of work, and to so many, but really to our family, it's really
and
beautiful.
for a lot of people that would have been enough, you know, like we've got Danny's Farm and that's all we're going to do. But instead you move off to Education Spectrum, and now you've got even a new program transition. So talk to us a little bit about what exactly Education Spectrum Inc. does, and then talk to us about what the transitions.
You got it. Well, Education Spectrum was born first in 1996. Danny's Farm was born in 2007. So Education Spectrum is a group of clinicians. Many of you might know Dr. Lori Stevens, and she's pretty well known as one of the best clinical psychologists specializing in autism, and so she does anything from diagnostics to just you name it. And they're amazing human beings, and we're vendored through Regional Center for many of our programs, and most recently we now have a program for young adults, and it's vendored, so really excited about that. So we provide, it's a center-based program, and we have a lot of social skills classes, community integration, just...
What ages?
Well, from birth, you know, from diagnostics to 25 is what we're vendored for, but we do have a few clients older who private pay, but we are now up to 25. We were up to 18 for many years, so I'm excited to bring on. It's tough to get a new program vendor today, so it just shows the need that it's, you know, just because you turn 18, it doesn't mean you don't need any services.
Right.
So that's exciting. And more recently, you know, Nancy said something kind of reminded me that when we met last time, I was saying that I was going to kind of slow down.
Yeah, that's what you told me. You said, you know, I've done this Danny's Farm thing, and this has been great, and Jim was in Phoenix, and I'm going to go be a wife for a while.
Right. And
what happened to that, Cathy?
Well, life happened to that. And interestingly, it's such a cycle of life, because when I went through the experience of not having a coach and a navigation guide when the kids were beginning to get services, I went through this transition time when, in particular with Danny, when he turned 18. And I wasn't prepared for what I went through. And one thing that I don't think people are really addressing is the emotional, the grieving. I mean, I'm very open about this because I think it's something that we really need to talk to, is about just our own mental health issues as our kids are aging out. It taps I can only speak for myself, and whenever I share this, I hear such similar stories. So I know we're hitting on something big.
You are striking a nerve big time.
Well,
my son's 15, just
Scary.
turning today is his birthday, and my husband died 9 months ago.
Oh.
And I have been petrified about what's going to happen to him.
It's paralyzing, really.
Paralyzed with fear. And Shannon will tell you, because she's been there with me, giving me emotional support. But if you think you don't know what's going to happen to your child if something happens to you, because I don't have a backup, and it's terrifying. And there are a lot of parents in my situation.
Well, I'll back up a second, because it's been a couple of years that I was introduced to this organization called ETTA, ETTA, and it's named after a woman named Etta. Her last name is Israel, but it has nothing to do with the state of Israel.
Okay.
Etta was a name of a woman who left her in her will that she wanted such a program to care for adults with developmental disabilities. And this is a bold statement, because as you can imagine, I've run across a lot of programs in and around Los Angeles, and this is leaps and bounds by far the most quality care I have ever seen. And once I gained the knowledge of what could be, I took a lot of my power back. I didn't feel so helpless, because for me, for my comfort, I need my ducks in order. I need a plan. I need to know if something happens to me, what's going to happen with Danny, and that gives me comfort. Yeah. So I fought through the pain and the sadness of, I mean, I'm just going to say it. You know, when Danny was 15 and I would see groups of adults at the mall, and, you know, I'd think like, oh, well, that's not going to be my son. That's not going to happen to me. I mean, that is I'm ashamed a little to even say it out loud, but I think it's so important to just be real. And that is my Danny. Yeah. That is absolutely, those are his peeps, and that is our life. And of course, what's so important about grieving is coming to acceptance. And I am in full acceptance today.
Because so much of our early years, our children's early years, and our efforts are on recovering them. And we are sold that dream by so many people, and it's not possible for every child. It just isn't.
It's just, I shy away from that language.
They can all get better. We know that.
But the word recovery or cure, it just does not work for me.
And when that dream is shattered, it's devastating.
It is. And even with as evolved that I'd like to think that I am, and, you know, in tune with myself, this transition to adulthood, I would say, was equal, if not greater, in pain than the diagnosis. Because for me, it was on such a multiple level, like, oh my God, this is the rest of his life. Oh my God, I'm not gonna, you know, your own mortality comes into play. And where is everyone? My school system is gone, and all these people that were surrounding us. Suddenly you get a new service coordinator that deals with transition age, and then you get another one. I mean, everything starts over. And I special needs trusts and IHSS and SLS, and what are we going to do with this? And putting it all together and knowing what to do first. There is an order that you need to do things. There was no one there to guide me. Mm-hmm. I had to do my homework, and it was my full-time job for 2 years. And I am very happy to say that Danny lives in his own home with full-time supported living services. He works. He is an active member of the community. He volunteers at the Humane Society. He's learning at a pet store to work the cash register. I mean, his life, he has a girlfriend, Spencer Hart, the opera singer.
It is the sweetest. It was Jill's birthday yesterday,
yes,
in fact.
Yes, I love Jill. So Jill and I are planning the wedding. So,
okay.
Anyway,
good.
Very
we'll be
excited.
There.
Jewish mother.
My son will want to be he loves Spencer.
Yeah. Who doesn't? You know, to get in line, son.
I know. He's 13, so I think, he gets it that she's too old for him. But he loves her. He loves her.
Oh,
so where does this leave? Okay, how can your experience now help others through what you're doing?
Well, first, what I'd like to do, if I can explain to you the reality of the numbers. I want you to all be, I want to educate you, if you will allow me for a moment.
Yes, absolutely.
Because we are not prepared as a community, and I am getting very active on a city, county, and state level to educate our legislative folks who can really make change, okay? So among the over 75,000 regional center clients with ASD, 80% are under 22 years of age and living with their parents, okay? The next few years will bring an unprecedented number of individuals with ASD and other developmental disabilities transitioning to independence. Nationally, an estimated 50,000 Americans with ASD will turn 18 each year. So, we all hear about this 1 in 10,000 went to 1 in 5,000 went, now it's 1 in 68 children. But this is what's happening in real numbers and what's going to be hitting our communities all over the country. I'm focused on Los Angeles because it's my home and where I love. So in California, the number of adult ASD regional center clients will more than triple during the next 3 years and will exceed 20,000 by the year 2018. Lastly, regional center, which serves only 20% of individuals. A lot of people don't qualify for regional center, so it's a much bigger population. We'll see a more than a 300% increase in the number of adults with autism spectrum disorder in the next decade. So let's be real. I mean, we are not prepared. Housing, higher education, and all the adaptation. I mean, what does it take for any of us to live a full and happy life and live to our fullest potential? Meaningful jobs, family, social connections.
A safe place to live, a
safe
roof over our head,
food,
food.
right? Just from basics to, and the organization with which I'm working embraced what I'm getting across, that it can't go on like this. First of all, there's a bridge missing, because there are great programs out there, and there are a lot of entitlements for our kids that people like Harvey and Connie Lapin, who wrote the Lanterman Act with other great folks, and whose children with autism are my age. It's our turn to take the next step and really expand and educate, because there's no turning back. We're not going to be shipping off our kids with all the laws that are in place. They are our neighbors, they are our children, they are our nieces and nephews, they are our cousins. I mean, I don't need to go on, but the numbers speak for themselves, and this is real. So we created a program at ETTA called Transitions, and it does just that in terms of connecting us all from transportation to jobs to on a very individualized, customized basis. And again, I'm reaching out to public entities so that we can not just do this on a private pay, really make this available countywide. So stay tuned for that, because my dear friend Catherine Barger just took Mike Antonovich's seat in the 5th District. Sheila Kuehl's office, another county supervisor, helped us with seed money for this program. So we're going to band together, and we're going to expand services countywide for our tender population, because it is growing, and we need to be there. I don't know. This is why I'm not with my husband in the Dominican this week, because I needed to be here today.
Yeah, you've got a mission. You've got a purpose and a calling.
And this is amazing. We're really out of time, but you've given a bunch of information, but we want to tell people where to go to get more information.
Okay.
So let's start with ETTA and the Transitions program. Where do they go to?
Oh, great. The link. I don't know. Am I in the way?
Okay. There it is.
Right
okay. Terrific. Well, that is the phone number to ETTA, 818-985-3882, or the website etta.org has tons of information, and specifically you can just click on the Transitions link, and you'll be guided to the proper people. Education Spectrum, we're located in Altadena, and we also contract with several school districts doing training and for teachers and attending IEPs.
Okay.
So
for Danny's Farm?
Danny's Farm, at dannysfarm.org, lots of information. And Alec Baldwin bought us a truck and trailer.
Yes,
so
I remember
can
that.
go anywhere in the county
Yes.
to the most neediest kids. And thanks to our amazing, generous donors, we have them sponsored many times. So reach out to us.
We love
That's
the
what we're
Baldwin
here
brothers.
for.
They've helped out with Act Today, and
They're
Atticus and Stephen and Daniel.
Good,
love them.
good
love them.
people.
Thank you for joining
you.
us.
Thank
I
you
mean,
so
we could
much.
talk for hours and hours and
we
hours,
really
but you're such a role model in our community, and such admiration we have for you
Yes,
and the work you're doing.
absolutely.
Well,
Thank you.
it's mutual. Thank you.